You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to this first installation of Future Fridays, where we chat about future tech headlines from the week. I'm your host, Wiz, and today we have three lovely panelists. Unfortunately, one could not join. And we also have Yael, who is a cartoonist, and my girlfriend, who will be live doodling with us for fun. Do you guys all want to go around, panelists, and give a short 280 character intro? And I'll stop the share so that people can see your faces, and you guys can go ahead. Justin, you want to go first?
Sure, why not? I'm Justin Mitchell. I'm the founder of Yak. We actually just launched on Product Hunt today.
Product number 2 right now.
Yes.
Woo!
Yak.com. That was money. But yeah, we provide asynchronous communication for remote teams. So go check out Yak on Product Hunt today.
I like the new messaging of async meetings. I think that resonates with people, and just straight up voice messages. It's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Noob?
Hey guys, I'm Matt Newberg. I'm the founder of Hungry. That's Hungry with no U. Hungry is a new media platform that's exploring all the ways that technology is changing the way people eat. Everything from grocery delivery to cloud kitchens to THC-infused beverages and alternative protein.
You should have started with the THC beverages.
Last but not least, Nikhil.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Nikhil. I'm the founder of a newsletter / healthcare comedy outfit called Out of Pocket, and also the founder of a online to offline community called Get Real, which is helping people make friends online first and then meet in person second through sort of semi-structured events and prompts.
Awesome. Cool. So today we're basically going to be going through 5 future headlines from this week and using them as prompts just to chat. All of the headlines came from this newsletter called This Week in Creative Tech, which is a newsletter that I've been working on with my co-founder, Daniel Eckler. Each week we share about 30 interesting headlines from the week of fun creative tech and future tech. If you guys want to sign up, it's bit.ly, join Future Fridays. So first one from today is Wuhan hospital gets staffed by robots to reduce exposure to COVID. Basically, as of the time of writing that article, there's been 3,000 medics that have been infected. So an AI company called CloudMinds donated 12 robots to one of the Wuhan hospitals. And the robots have been doing things like taking temperatures of patients, delivering meals, disinfecting the facility, and also reading patient records remotely to doctors, just so doctors don't have to be in close proximity. So this is the first one we'll be chatting about. And I'm going to stop the share again just so that we can see all the panelists. And if anyone has a better way to do this, please recommend.
SoftBank robots?
Sorry?
These the SoftBank robots, the company that they, I think they bought it.
The company's called CloudMinds. I'm not sure if that's a SoftBank company. Does anyone know?
I don't think that's the one, but I think that picture might be of the SoftBank one. I think. I'm not sure.
If it's a startup that probably doesn't have much look of going anywhere, it's probably a SoftBank startup. So.
Justin, you and I were talking about this one earlier. Basically, it seems like there's things that this pandemic is acting as a catalyst for quicker adoption and acceptance. You know, in this case, obviously robots. People have been talking about robots becoming more part of our daily lives for a long ass time. Now that we have this horrible pandemic, it's like, oh yeah, robots are cool. Let's use them.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the response shifts when all of a sudden you can't get your toilet paper. I think we as employees and employers have just like been constantly concerned about robots taking our jobs and that whole thing in the system. I think even as like devs and designers, we think about AI and how no-code tools enable AI to build stuff for us. So like I think there's that overlap between AI and robots as well. But then you look at all of a sudden there's a crisis, and if you can't get food shipped to you, or you can't get even fast food delivered because the humans that work in those warehouses or work at that restaurant all of a sudden can't work there anymore because they're either sick or because it's illegal for them to leave their homes, all of a sudden robots sound really awesome, right? Like we now are like, damn, I wish robots replaced all my jobs because this wouldn't be an issue anymore. And it's just interesting that the circumstances have all of a sudden started that shift of mindset of, wow, maybe there is some value to bringing in a workforce that can't die. If that doesn't sound Terminator, I don't know what does, but I think it's very interesting that, you know, these circumstances start to really test the way that we think about, you know, job security and also just, you know, our expectations for things to not change. And robots kind of enable that ability for things to not change as much.
Totally. I mean, this is a cool example, but it's only 12 robots. Like, do you guys think over the next 2+ months, as the world continues to end, that we'll see actual adoption of robots in these kind of use cases and others?
So I want to talk a little bit about this article specifically, because I read it a little bit and I thought it was funny because, so there are two things that come to mind. One, I think it's interesting that like these robots take humanoid forms. I don't really know why. There's like really no purpose for it to like look like a human in this case. And actually
Makes us feel better.
Yeah, maybe it makes us feel better, but like, you know, for the functions it's trying to do, it's actually probably not the best form factor, right? Like, yeah. Which sort of brings me to the second point, which is I actually think this robot, it's two separate roles, right? One robot is things that need to do physical things in the hospital, right? Like I need to remove sheets, I need to deliver food, etc. The second robot is capturing and relaying information, right? Like I'm taking temperature, I'm sending data to doctors, etc. Like that doesn't need a physical robot, that second bucket. Like people should be doing that at home with sensors and basically just like normal software. Like that is also a robot, right? So it's like, it's funny to me that this is all bundled together as like, oh, here's like a nurse replacement, when really it's like, okay, this actually should be separated into two different categories and the form should actually be very different. Like, I think to your point, Justin, like it looks way more like replacing your job if it literally looks like a substitute, right? Versus if you just had, I don't know, like if you had a robot that's like going around doing medication delivery just by like one of those little like mini container robots while the nurses are kind of doing more of the like in-person sort of chatting and like trying to assess symptoms, etc. Like that looks more like compliments, where it's like, oh, these robots are like making our lives easier, versus like you know, deploy these human looking robots that are supposed to do all of the functions. And like, okay, first of all, I don't think they're going to be very good. And second of all, like now it looks like replacement-esque.
Do you guys think that any, go ahead, Noob.
Yeah, I mean, what Nikhil was saying about kind of the just song and dance of robots and humans kind of working together. I've, you know, been studying micro-fulfillment robotic grocery for a few months now. And what I've seen is, you know, you basically, you haven't eliminated humans completely, but like you've expedited a lot of the manual picking processes, and you've kind of, you've given those tasks to ground floor robots and then these shuttle robots that basically pick bins off of shelves, throw them onto one of these ground floor robots, and then bring it to a human. So I think what you're saying about kind of, if it looks human, it's going to replace my job. We're still going to have people checking out shopping carts. It's just that they're not going to be picking groceries. There's certain things that we will outsource to robotics because they're, you know, they can do things at a speed of 12x faster. So I can see that, you know, unfolding across other verticals.
I mean, the age-old thing with automation is that automation creates more jobs. Actually, like if you go back through history and you look at like automotive industry in particular, every single time that someone in the automotive industry thought like, oh, it's taking our jobs, it may have actually taken their job, but then it created like 5 other jobs because now there were different job opportunities because automation enabled those jobs. So I still think that's probably a case moving forward, is that now we're freeing up, you know, some specific use case inside of a industry for other jobs to now be created because they're enabled by the technology.
So I've heard this argument a lot, and like I, you know, believe it for the most part. The two parts that I think are really different are, one, if the new jobs that are created are semi-skilled to high-skilled jobs, like we don't really have the transition like in place to do that. And the second thing is also, I think people forget that like healthcare is I think now the number one employer in the country, and for many states is also like the number one employer in that entire state. So to like deploy this kind of stuff to like theoretically replace a lot of hospital jobs, that's actually going to put a ton of people out of work. And like if we don't have the systems in place to kind of reskill or like put people into other areas, then it's gonna be seriously problematic.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to the next topic just to keep this going. Do you have a cartoon ready for us? All right.
All right, what do we got?
Oh, just share it from Zoom. Share from Zoom. Yeah. All right, we got a cartoon before we move on to the next segment.
Oh, I'm excited.
Compliments of our live cartoonist.
I hope it's a cartoon of me because I'm a cartoon. I'm just kidding.
No, not yet.
I think you got to share video.
Go hit start broadcast.
Ooh.
Now you can see your screen, yeah.
Yay.
Oh, I see a robot.
You make us work in healthcare, but you expect us not to play uprising.
That's good. I love it.
Finally, they see me as a caretaker.
I do love that it has human hands, though. Like, has like fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sue me for malpractice. That's a good one.
Oh, we'll find a way.
Oh, can you guys hear her talking?
No.
Is that Wiz as a robot?
Doesn't have the hair.
No, doesn't have the hair.
Here, really? This is like looking at like one of those Ouija boards or whatever.
Yeah.
That's good.
Solid. Good one. All right. Thank you for that. Moving on. Next topic is Spain's police are flying drones with speakers around public places to warn citizens to get inside. So Spain, like a lot of the rest of the world, California and soon New York, is on lockdown. And this headline is from police in Madrid were flying drones around, basically telling groups of gathering people to go inside. Similar to the Brooklynites yelling to others in the street to go inside. Let me stop share again so that we can see all. I think China's been using drones for similar crowd control measures for a while now and also doing weird facial scanning things. What do you guys think about the role of drones increasing in our daily lives?
I think it's great. I think you needed a catalyst to basically help figure out what we're going to do with the airspace, right? That's sort of always been the issue, is like you can't crowd the airspace for just like anything. And I think the immediate response when drones came out was we need to like ban all of them in major cities. Now we need to figure out like what are the use cases that make sense for emergency drones. And again, like from a healthcare perspective, it's like doing time sensitive kind of like blood donations or organ transplants, etc. Like if you think, like I think we'll look back in years and basically be like, wow, it's crazy that like we depended on a massive ambulance to try and get from point A to point B to provide like just the like stabilization measures, because drones can do it much faster, can get to point A, point B much faster, right? Like especially when the density of the payload itself is really small, like it's not very it's like not as difficult to transport something. Like let's say you need an EpiPen, right? Like getting it from point A to point B like shouldn't be that difficult. So I think it's great that we're at least thinking about like what emergency measures we should be using drones for. I think
you have a much more positive outlook than I do. I see that headline and I think that is the first sign of like true dystopia. Like government state, a million sci-fi movies I've seen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Equilibrium. They
I love it. Great
it-
movie.
right, like Christian Bale has to like take his pill or his injection every day.
Yeah.
You know, The Giver's like the same way. This idea of like this all-seeing eye that's always making sure, like, hey, did you take your injection today? You got to make sure. I mean, it's like for me the first step into that world of China that I think we may not even truly understand, but also that sci-fi universe that I'm so afraid of, where technology starts to enable that like cyberpunk style overlord that can tell you to go back into your home or make sure you take your medicine or whatever it is. I don't know. There was so much stuff that came out of like the way that everyone reacted to the virus. Like even I was listening to Science Versus podcast the other day. They did a follow-up pandemic episode specifically on Corona. And one of the things that they were talking about was just the process in Italy of leaving your home and having like this government sanctioned paper saying that you're a government worker and that you're going from point A to point B. And then that there's like people patrolling the streets that check to see if you're feasibly inside of a route that makes sense to get from A to B. And if you're not, like you're immediately fined on the spot. I was like, oh my God, we're there. Like dystopia's come. And now I see drones are like yelling at people. And I don't know, I go further down that path of like my independence is being crushed.
Why is anything you're describing different than like your phone though?
Well, yeah, but I bought this. So that's my own free will to be monitored and tracked. I'm not like a privacy nut. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, clearly, like I love my phone.
Oh, we've got a good privacy topic at the end. Moving away from dystopian things, I mean, speaking about COVID being the catalyst for adoption of some of these things, I know something that people have been talking about is like Uber Eats delivery drivers risking their health by making food deliveries. Is this an opportunity, Noob, do you think, to roll out the first little micro delivery drones?
I've been pretty like skeptical of both robotics and drone delivery in food, but I do think this could be a temporary moment because if you don't have people walking around, the risk is much lower. The problem is it's going to be kind of, you can't really batch order, you can't do batch deliveries of anything, so it's not incredibly efficient. I
would actually pay a premium to get a drone to deliver my food just for the novelty of it, just for the fun of like opening the door and having like a drone whizzing there with like my McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's, but whatever I ordered. Pizza.
I side with Justin on this. I think the best use case for drones, unfortunately, is going to be modern police cars instead of helicopters and cars and even horses that I've seen.
Why not modern ambulances or modern fire trucks? Like,
I want to see you picked up by a drone and just like carried, just in like a weird body bag thing that's hanging from a drone as you swing in the air.
All right, we're gonna move on. Cartoonist, you got something for us?
I'm impressed with how fast you were coming up with these.
It's just quite good. I think your audio is muted. If you unmute, you can talk. Yeah. Well, maybe not. Because we're both wearing headphones. We're in the same room.
We do like a software cam so that like the iPad is the camera and your Google Sheets is the camera. That way it's
does that exist? I saw your text message. It's exactly what I need. Yeah. It does exist?
I'll figure it out.
Yes, please do.
Well done.
Nice.
Another one that I was trying to do is something about like
you guys hear that?
No, you'll have to like relay messages for us.
Well done.
Try just unmuting and see if it works. That's okay. I'm gonna share the next slide anyway.
I was just saying, I wanted to do something with a droning on and on. Like don't listen to him. That's like a dad joke there.
That's good.
Okay, next one we've got is the Phoenix Suns are going to finish out the canceled NBA season in NBA 2K20. Basically, as most of you know, the NBA season has been suspended. And I guess as like a fun little stunt, the Phoenix Suns had a professional gamer play against the gaming brand ambassador from the Dallas Mavericks, and they streamed it all over Twitch as like a way for fans to still be able to engage without actually playing the game. This is a cool example of our lives becoming more digital, again, sparked by, horrible pandemic that's happening right now. Justin, Yak, you guys are capitalizing on the remote work shift. Obviously, there's a lot there. I guess what other parts of our lives do you guys see moving to more digital, things that people did more traditionally physically? Like what, COVID aside, is this going to increase some of the speed of our move to a more digital life? I'm going to stop the share again so we can see everyone.
Like one of my first thoughts was seeing all these movie theaters shut down and thinking like, this might be finally the thing that like pushes us into just like, it's streaming. Like we just gave up. The new movie is on Netflix. Just go watch it. Or like direct to Disney Plus for Mulan. Like I see that happening. Like they just skip the theatrical release. Maybe like move to a thing where you can like have a subscription and do one-time buys, like movie tickets where you pay, $7 to see Mulan. But I think that for me, the positive is definitely we're finally going to get out of this archaic, everything gets released on film and I'm a film buff. So like, I love movies and I love the art of going to a theater. I love it. I just can't get anyone to freaking go with me. So, I don't see movies anymore because none of my friends or family will go to a movie theater with me.
I think that's a good one.
That giant Quibi round doesn't seem so dumb now anymore, right?
Man, that's not a great example.
Yeah.
What?
Don't talk to me about Quibi.
As we were sitting here, I just got an email from DoorDash saying that they're moving to no contact by default. So drivers just drop shit at your door and move on.
That's good.
Anyone else got thoughts on this?
I have a more kind of out there one. I recently went on a virtual speed dating thing. And one of the things that I had always hoped is that there would be a step in between like meeting someone and going on a first date, because first dates, like, they're extremely like time intensive and also like generally expensive. Like what if you could basically figure out if the first date was worth it before actually going on the first date? And I hope
Newberg has some good recipes here for this.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no doubt in my mind that Matt has thoughts about this. But it would be. It feels like maybe this might get a little bit more normalized to be like, hey, let's do something like on the internet together first, and then like if we feel good about it, like let's go on a date.
Yeah, I've seen people do like FaceTimes before first date.
Yeah, but I think it was always regarded as like weird.
Yeah, now more normal, right?
Now maybe it's like, oh, that's like I've done this with a few people, like, whatever, not that weird anymore.
I've seen a lot more friends engaging digitally, remotely now, doing like FaceTime and Zoom, like board games and wine nights and stuff. I wonder how much of this will continue over post-COVID, where it's like, oh, you can actually like just hang out with friends and play backgammon. Like you don't need to like all meet up and like go through that big effort. What do you guys think about that? Do you see more of that post-apocalypse?
My little brother's like all back on House Party now because they have, built-in like heads-up games.
I saw it popping up on Twitter yesterday. Everybody was like hopping into House Party randomly.
I think a lot of the silly social, like someone tweeted the other day, like I miss all the silly social stuff. Like why don't we have all this right now? It's like there's never been a better time for like more zany, weird social online things, because that's kind of all we kind of have to at our disposal.
Has anyone seen anything good aside from House Party and speed dating that viewers can join and enjoy?
Like people are just legit hanging out in Fortnite. I think we're a little bit past our age group to like talk on this eloquently, but like I know that I have a bunch of friends with little brothers and sisters that don't even play the game. They just like all log into Fortnite and just kind of like run around whacking stuff with a pickaxe, and they're not actually doing any objectives. They're just like chatting.
Oh, just chatting, hanging out.
One of them told me that they get on Fortnite and just open up Netflix and stream it over the headphones so that like everybody can hear Netflix. and they just like watch Netflix together over Fortnite. That's like how they do it. And, you know, House Party was actually bought by Unity. So like they're trying to integrate all the House Party tech into the game and stuff like that to like move off of the existing VoIP solution that they provided. But yeah, like it's cool to like see shit like that start to change the way we think about even hanging out. Like a virtual avatar that doesn't look anything like me. It's a dude in a pink bunny suit. But like that's how my friends think of me now.
That's cool. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Cartoonist. No, go off mute again first on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get too far with this one, but one thing that I noticed is all these people sharing out content of things you can now do for free. Like at my work, they were like, you can now stream the operas for free. And it was like, that is not something I would have done before. I'm suddenly cultured. So I just wanted to capture that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Back.
That's it.
It's good.
Nice.
I like it.
Okay. Number 4 is this library Minecraft was built to fight censorship across the world. Oh, I'm gonna have to mute you. All right. So many places in the world obviously don't have the freedom of press and information that we take for granted sometimes here. So reporters without borders joined together and used a backdoor in the game Minecraft to build a virtual library. The library is filled with articles that are currently censored around the world. So it's a way for people to be able to join Minecraft servers and read articles that are currently banned in their country, which is pretty cool. Another example of physical going digital, but in this case, more to support oppressed groups instead of entertain COVID quarantiners. Other similar examples that y'all have seen?
I think I forgot who was talking about this, but in a few of the papers that came out of China during the Wuhan, like during the early parts of Wuhan, there was a lot of things in the discussion sections of the papers that were coming out that basically were like sounding the alarm way earlier than I think the government was, because I think the government was like sort of trying to like keep the news more sort of like contained. So I've seen a lot of this like I've seen this like backdoor sort of like expression of things through these like more coded terms in research papers that came out, which is like pretty interesting.
That's cool.
This feels like a modern Library of Alexandria sort of situation.
Yeah.
Interesting that it took the physical form of a library. It's like similar to kind of that Fortnite conversation, in that like for some reason, even though there's another digital way to like hang out, and like there's a better way to access that information than Minecraft. Like you could throw up a pirated site on like Tor and search and have like rich, deep search into like the text and stuff, right? But like for some reason, there's a part of us as humans that like social construct of going to a library and pulling a book out. And that was like the first thought in people's mind was like, yeah, let's build a virtual library. But instead of it just being like pages and links, it's a building in some virtual space.
It took them months to build it. It's actually like beautifully designed.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's like something you would never even be able to experience in real life even, right? Like we don't have libraries like that. So yeah, I think it's interesting that humans have this weird gravitation to like, I want to see like the human. I think it's almost like what you were saying about robots. Like we want to see this like expected form in things. We want to see a robot look like a human. We want to see a library look like a library, because it's almost like we're afraid of letting go of, you know, our version of reality.
Same thing. We want a burger that looks like a burger, even though it ain't a burger.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we'll see more examples of this kind of physical going digital in the future?
I mean, yeah, probably. I think libraries are like a weird / interesting first use case. I mean, there are like tons of these interesting, weird backdoor, you know, shady sites where this stuff gets shared. I think this one is interesting just because it's like a popular game. So you don't have to go to strange places to find that info, right? It's like all built into the game with like existing distribution already, etc. So I think it's cool to see a lot of the stuff like embedded in kind of like things that already have a really wide distribution.
Yeah, it's kind of part of like people playing Netflix over Fortnite, as Justin was just talking about. It's like, oh, me and my friends are already on Fortnite. We know how to join a party. Like, it just makes it way easier than having to download like a Chrome extension and like get everyone to get that going.
I think Coachella should be moved to Fortnite.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just got a text message that my techno festival in Detroit got canceled to September. So, you know, maybe we can get these DJs to do live streaming.
Did you guys see the like Marshmello concert in Fortnite?
Yeah.
That happened?
That was the like catalyst moment for me. I was like, I would never in a million years do that. Like that sounds so freaking boring to me. And it popped off. Like people loved it. Like
yeah, is it fun?
I'm old, I guess. I had no interest, but the kids loved it.
Dancing around your house? I'd be dancing around my house. We played Beat Saber in this house last night. Everyone like dancing in the house. It was super fun.
Yeah, Beat Saber.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next topic. Cartoonists.
Need to have like a bell that you like rate.
Yeah.
Ding ding. Okay, I try to combine the two topics. The one before. Y'all are doomed.
That's amazing.
That's great.
I wonder how that first date would actually go. There'd be a second date.
So good.
That's too good.
Okay, last one. This is on privacy. Half of the people in the US would sell their genetic data for $95. Basically, this company did a survey of 2,000 people, which is a representative sample of the US, and they found that on average, people would be willing to trade their genetic data for $95. I guess question to you guys, have you guys done any genetic testing yourselves? Like I've done 23andMe, and thoughts on privacy? I know when I talk to friends, there's a lot of mixed opinions and feelings on this.
I've spent a lot of time in this space.
Yeah.
So a couple things that immediately come to mind. One, the $95 might be an average amount, but actually like the value of genetic data for the average person is extremely low. But if you have a rare mutation or condition, it's very high. So most people's genetic data is actually not worth that much. I think they misunderstand that. The second part is we don't actually have a great way of underwriting the risk for genetic data right now because there haven't been a lot of studies to understand this. And so what happens is that a lot of life insurance companies, which are not protected the same way that other health data is, basically can access this stuff and use it to underwrite the risk under life insurance policy. And that's actually like, I think probably the worst part to me. So I haven't gotten these tests because for me, the like value versus risk is just not worth it, right? Like what I'm like, the things I'm going to learn from a 23andMe right now are like, I'm Indian, which I know. It might tell me a lot of the predispositions I sort of already know from like family history too. Versus the risk of like, oh, if I want to like get a life insurance policy in the future, I don't want this to actually work against me. But so that part's shitty. One thing I think is also interesting about the genetic data stuff is in forensics, a lot of sort of lower income and Black and Hispanic populations have sort of been disproportionately targeted by genetic forensic testing because it's taken against their will. And in like a somewhat ironic comeuppance, because the like 23andMe ancestries of the world are mostly like affluent and largely like white Caucasian populations, it has now balanced the pool of risk for forensics. So anyway, that's like one long rant. The other thing is I actually read this article, and one of the leads that gets buried is that they asked all the people, would the amount that you wanted change if depending on the entity that you're giving it to? So if it's a university, a pharma company, a nonprofit, etc. And it was actually the same across the board. So
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, it's like this is a great example of like stated and revealed preferences, where it's literally like, oh, like people actually, maybe they'll like talk about how much they hate pharma companies, etc.
Sure.
Like, but at the
We don't
values,
care.
like people, when you put dollars in front of their face, like their utility kind of like their utility calculus changes a lot. So I just thought that was an interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing that you said to me when we got on this call. Was like, you have a phone. Why do you care about your privacy? And I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about my privacy if I'm the one giving it up. Like, if you're gonna offer me money, $5 footlong, you can have my DNA. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just as long as I'm like consenting.
$5 footlong.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Noob, you giving up your DNA?
I spread it all over the place.
That's weird.
Is your mom on this?
I didn't mean that to be disgusting, but I downloaded my genome the other week into a text file, and then I uploaded it to another site. As you know, I don't know. I mean, do I regret it? I don't know what this other company's doing. I tried to read through their terms, but it was basically, I've been studying, personalized nutrition, and a lot of this comes down to your gut. And so there's different pieces to it, but there is a genetic piece to what you eat, and I wanted to explore that. So I gave it to this company called GenoPalette that's been sending me recommendations as to what to eat. My hunch tells me that the majority of our cells in our body are not actually are actually bacteria cells. So we can actually have a lot of control over what we eat, and I think our genes probably play some role in it, but I haven't determined how much of a role it plays. But
cool. We're gonna move on. While we wait for our cartoonist, can you guys make sure that you have paper and pen or a marker handy for the quick game that we're gonna play
I forgot about this thing.
after this?
Yes.
Cartoonist?
Stand by.
No. I can unmute you. I unmuted. You're unmuted. Oh. You're not.
Nope, nope.
Oh, you are now.
Okay. That was a quick one. And then there's another one inspired by my own 23andMe.
Hey, I found my birth father on 23andMe, so it ended up being worth it for me.
Wow. That's
Nice.
Really? Wow.
Oh, I mean, it told me I had the muscle composition of an elite athlete, so I've been just holding that over everyone's head. So
I think
I can confirm that that's false.
I feel like that's just like the modern.
it's not about me being one now. It's if I wanted to be one, I could have been one.
Okay.
I
I just like
much better than actually being one.
I do like that 23andMe only tells you the like positive stuff. Like they'll never tell a person like, oh, you have shitty muscle composition. They'll only highlight it if you have like particularly good. It's like Myers-Briggs, but for
No, it told me I was predisposed to get mosquito bites. That is not good news.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys got paper and pen?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'm gonna play a little game. I've got 4 headlines here. 3 of them are real. 1 of them is fake. Don't blurt anything out. Just write down your answer on the paper, and then when everyone's ready, we'll have you all reveal at the same time. I'm gonna read them out. So the first one is, this Japanese company's $1,200 gaming bed might be the perfect setup for never having to leave home again. Second one, the Pentagon wants game devs to help build AI fighter jets. Number 3, recycled cell phones in China being repurposed to manufacture COVID masks. And number 4, Dinky One is a new dating site that caters to people with small penises.
So we have to guess which one's fake.
Yeah, exactly. 3 of these are real headlines.
Wait, is there any like ratio? Is it like 3 truths and a lie, or they could all be true and we're going to be really depressed about the current state of affairs?
Oh, no. 3 of them are correct, and only 1 of them is fake.
Oh, only one of them is false. Okay.
Yeah, so the game is to guess which one's fake. Just write it down on a piece of paper. The 3 that are real are from the newsletter this week, and again, you can join that at bit.ly, join Future Fridays. Let me know when you guys are ready.
All right.
I'm gonna have to stop the share again so that we can actually see you guys.
All right.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
We got.
Let's go.
Oh, I can't see. I just see blank pieces of paper.
Weird.
3's fake. True, true. Oh, Noob's got 2. And Justin, you have 4?
Yeah, I changed it after you only said one of them was fake.
Only one of them is fake.
I just don't want to believe in the small penis thing. That's all.
Hey, everyone has a fetish. Come on, let's not discriminate.
So the fake one is Nikhil is right. The only one that was right. The fake one was the recycled cell phones in China being repurposed to manufacture COVID masks.
How do you recycle a cell phone to become a mask? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. How is
I don't think you
Elon
can.
Musk repurposing everything to all of a sudden make ventilators and masks?
Well, I mean, I don't think he is, but separately, like it's literally 2 different materials. Like,
I don't understand manufacturing. Don't knock that. I write software.
So let's talk about Dinky One.
Yeah.
Dinky One's real. This is an actual app that got launched. I read an article about it.
Can I ask how you found the article?
It's in the newsletter from this week.
Right, but you have a confirmation email in your email inbox? Is that
yeah, they emailed me.
Did someone refer you?
And they're like, yeah, we want you to be a beta tester.
They're like, we have your genetic data, and based off of that, you're a great candidate for this dating site.
Exactly.
All right, guys, that's all we got for this week. Again, if you'd like to see more headlines from the week and join in next week, sign up for the newsletter at bit.ly join Future Fridays. Thank you, panelists, for joining. That was super fun. We're going to try to keep this going. Thank you, cartoonists, as well, for entertaining. I'll be sharing the recording of this and the cartoons and some other fun stuff so that everybody can also watch asynchronously in this new asynchronous world. Upvote Yak on Product Times as well. We want to get them to #1. So if you watch this, go to producttimes.com and upvote them so they can get #1.
Please do. All right,
Cool.
guys.
All right, guys, stay safe.
See you, man.
Bye.